So I would like now that you ask me about then my trip from where I started and how I came to that, because this is about 25 years of my life. But I wanted to say from the beginning how British we are as somebody who thinks himself is made of material, and anything which is not material is not there. This is absolute Britishness of a materialistic person. That is the weakness of any materialistic philosophy, because you would believe only in things you can see and touch. No, this is too primitive, too unscientific. Most of what you see, what you don't see, is what matters. I have made an operation in my eyes, and because of detached retina, and most of the world is now as fuzzy as this cravat, which is not a coincidence that I'm putting it. This is the first time I had this cravat, this tie, since many, many years. It's a tie of my institute, being a fellow of the Institute of Physics. I can carry this. And this has something to do with the Higgs, what they find in CERN.
The Higgs boson.
Yeah, but this tie, I took it today, but it is with me since 20 years or so. And you see how fuzzy this is. And now I see, since I no more see very well, I see the world right. I see the world fuzzy. And to capture the fuzziness of the world, you have to change your counting. And the only way to capture everything counting and get the right direction of scientific investigation is to endorse the golden mean numbering system. That is the top realization which I was afraid to spell it out for 25 years. But due to the effort of many people who worked with me, and people who don't know even that I'm working in this direction, because of the effort of genius like Frank Wilczek, was a student of another genius, David Gross.
So Frank Wilczek and David Gross?
David Gross gave us the heterotic string theory, which I consider it a very sophisticated part of nonlinear dynamic. And Wilczek really spoke about anion, which is really inconceivable to go through this calculation without the golden mean system.
The anion, A-N-Y-O-N. But let's pause for a moment and go back to, I want to make a couple comments about something that you've said so far, and then we get into the nitty-gritty. But there's something about the breadth of vision of having backgrounds in the engineering as you have, but all the various sciences, even the arts, the philosophy. I've noticed that oftentimes nowadays there's specialization to a fault, where I'm in the university, and the first thing I notice is people don't know what is going on in other departments. They're so specialized, they narrow down, and they don't see the bigger picture. And so there's something to be said about a liberal arts education, for example, the breadth of vision that allows one to see the bigger picture. So that's one thing. Another thing is these paradigms we get stuck in, the way we look at the world. In particular, we have this kind of materialistic paradigm that has become so central to our way of thinking. And people view the material world, as you point out, if it's only 4.5%, and even it's a fraction of that as to what our senses actually pick up, and then we say that is reality, it's a joke. It's an absolute, utter joke.
Tragedy is.
It is tragic. It is absolutely tragic. But then we're unwilling to break out of these paradigms. And the other thing is energy and the wars that fight over energy and the sources of energy. And armaments is a big business. And so we get caught in these old ways of thinking. We can't break out of it. And even when the geniuses figure it out, they're either silenced or they're bought off. They're paid off so that the big businesses can continue on, and there's so much corruption, it is sickening. And here we have the possibilities of free energy. It could actually transform the world. So the other thing I want to say about this is paradigm change. We need to be willing to make these incredible breaks with past ways of thinking in Copernican revolutions. There are these points of eureka. You have found the most incredible Archimedean eureka or Copernican revolution with what you've stumbled onto, if I may say it that way. And yet, it's almost like you're not even being allowed to bring this forth. So that's really kind of what we're doing here, is we're going to make sure that we preserve this for posterity. So the next stage into this is this kind of radical transformation of consciousness that comes with the insights, the pure number theory that you have discovered with the golden mean numbering system. But before we even go there, let's go into the background of you as a person. And if you don't mind, if you're willing,
I am willing.
because I know Ilya Prigogine is right at the roots of some of your education, your discovery, but we want to hear it from you.
Really, my education starts by my mother and my father. And this is, again, something which I feel very bad about. I feel very bad and guilty about everybody who didn't have a father and mother like me. Because here I was in this world, and I had loving father and mother, not only loving, but financially capable, because my grandfather was very rich, to give me the best education. I didn't want to leave Egypt. I was beaten up by my father and forced to go to Germany to have a better education, and then to England to have a different education. So my tiny-minded love to going to the cinema and the club in Cairo, and I didn't want to go anywhere, but my father had the means to send me. And now I cannot just say how grateful I am to him, but how many people can have this fortunate situation? So really, this is the first education. I remember I was very patriotic, and although Nasser nationalized our family and took our fortune, particularly from my mother, I loved Nasser because I love equality and I love justice. So I thought we are too rich and the rest are too poor. So he's right. My mother wasn't very pleased that her son is speaking like that. In any case, by going abroad and seeing different way of doing things and different mentalities, and that nationalism particularly, which is not just love thy neighbor, but being proud to the extent that you are discriminating against other people who are not belonging to your tribe. I now am ashamed that I was that nationalist. I think such nationalism shouldn't exist. We should be proud to be human. So this is the education. Then I was very lucky because there were wonderful people in Germany, which I had the unbelievable good luck to know from near, coincident, and also being privileged. Carl Friedrich von Weizsäcker, who was giving lectures, and I was attending his. I was a student of civil engineering, like my father wanted me to. Thanks God, because you have a job and salary. But I attended the philosophical religion seminar of Carl Friedrich in Hamburg. And through him, I got to know Heisenberg. And through Heisenberg, I didn't know what to do, being an engineer or follow his so-called quantum mechanic. And then I got involved with Hermann Bondi, who was instrumental of getting me to Cambridge when I later, after I became an engineer and worked enough to have enough to persuade my father to move to something else. Actually, my father is the one who insisted that I do a PhD in England. So I got to know Hermann Bondi, one of the opponent of the Big Bang. I didn't know at this time. We became friends, and he helped me a lot. A fantastic, charming Jewish Viennese who came to Cambridge, and although he lost a lot of what he had in Vienna, he never lost his Viennese accent even when he speaks English. And I learned so much from him.
Because you were at Cambridge at the time.
He's the one who got me there.
I see.
I became in the department of applied math and theoretical physics. And I felt like a small midget between all that. He was the famous Steve Hawking and so many other people. And Bondi had an enormous distrust to any form of organized religion. And I'm a Muslim. So I had to think about what he said and rearrange things, because this was a man with an enormous knowledge. I got to know so many people. I got to know their ideas, and I was privileged to know Elia Prigogine, who was like a father to me.
Elia
really.
Prigogine.
And he was good at everything except hard mathematics. He didn't like it very much. But he was insistent that the reversibility of time is an illusion. And the reality is time only go forward. I wanted to prove him right, but it was difficult. But nevertheless, he influenced me quite a bit. I got to know also a fantastic personality, a mild, soft, open-minded and kind, modest man, Gerard Toft, Nobel laureate of physics. And one of the things I can never forget, I was in awe every time I see him. And then he told me once, Mohamed, don't forget, Nobel laureate are just a human like everybody else. So it was very sobering remark, You have, and really, Einstein used to say, this guy, Newton, and this guy, Kepler, and Born once told him, Albert, why are you talking without respect from such great people? He says, this guy, Newton. He said, no, they are so big and so great. Unless I lose some respect, I cannot even breathe and think about them. So you read what he was saying in his delightful Jewish way, is that respect is not just to say, küss die Hand, gnädige Frau, kissing your hand. Respect is really to be truthful to the people you are talking to.